hear from some of the older students. They've been on some trips where they learned about language and culture. Where do you think they went? We have all kinds of guesses. Yes, tell me. Dubai? Where? The Hindi students went where? The Hindi students went up North India somewhere. Okay. Where else? Some students went to Spain. Very good. What else? You know, we didn't quite get to Africa, but that's a good idea for next trip. Okay? Yes? Madurai, very good guess. Anywhere else? Yes? You know the 5 places? You know too much. I'm going to ask somebody else. Okay? Yes? French students went to Paris. Very good. Okay? So we're going to hear from them, and they're going to tell you about their trip and what they learned. Okay? And maybe we can plan a trip to Africa. Okay? For the next time. All right. Who's coming first? Would it be the French students? Shreya, come. Can you all say bonjour?
Bonjour. Bonjour.
Tell us.
Okay, so as part of our French program in IB, we went to France. So how the trip was divided was we spent 7 days in a small town called Niort. And over there we stayed with families. So we were divided into groups of 2 or 3, and we stayed with the local people there. And so what this did was it allowed us to talk to the people there in French and improve our skills. So in Niort, we did stuff like going to museums, went to parks, we went to an aquarium, and we also had classes there. There was one big French center, and we just sat there and we learned many new words, new grammar structures, and it really helped us increase our skills in the language.
One additional thing we did was that we got to try like traditional French food. So there was this, there are a lot of types of cheeses in France, right? So I got to try one of the cheeses called raclette. And it was actually very interesting for me to try, and the different food combinations that they had was different from what we have here in India.
So I think it was a very different trip for us because we had to immerse with people we weren't really used to. And
Do I understand, Lakshanya, that you stayed in people's houses, in people's homes?
yeah,
So with whom did you stay?
I stayed with Akshita, and we stayed with a really nice lady called Madame Asondu, and she was really sweet to us. She even taught us how to cook at one point. So yeah,
And what did you learn to cook?
pizza, like
Pizza
traditional
in French,
pizza.
French style pizza?
Yeah.
See, they have pizza in France too, huh? Can we hear you say, Shreya, a few words in French for the whole group?
Okay, so I'll just introduce myself. Bonjour, je m'appelle Shreya, j'ai 17 ans et on a visité Paris.
Who can interpret what she said? Yeah, why don't you tell me? Go ahead.
She said, "Hello, my name is Shreya, and I'm 17 years old, and we visited Paris."
Really, you speak clearly and they are quite attentive. Thank you very much for sharing. I hope you learned a lot and had a wonderful trip. Yes? Okay, thanks so much. Next, let's hear next from the Hindi trip. What a nice audience you have. So well behaved. Okay, and where did you go and what did you do? Go ahead, tell us.
We went to Delhi and Rishikesh, where we learned about the culture and the language Hindi. I'm going to be talking about the cultural immersion that we had. So the first thing we noticed as soon as we got there was how they welcomed us. So they put a tika on your forehead and like they give you a mala to wear, which was really nice. And then we also saw the clothing, which was mainly kurta pajama, which is very different from South India's clothing. We also ate their food, which consisted of rice, dal, paneer, and roti. That you also get that in South India, but the taste is not quite the same. And me being from North India, it felt like home because North India food is not that great, I think. And then we also went to Ganga Aarti in Rishikesh, which was a first time experience for me, which was also a very pretty astonishing experience because I didn't think it would be like that. It lasted around 15 minutes with music playing, and there were 4 priests that were working in synergy to, Aarti the Ganga.
So I'm going to be talking about the language part of the trip. So I will talk about Delhi and Vaishnavi will talk about Rishikesh. So in Delhi, we actually visited another school called NIBS, where we learned a lot of things. First, we were welcomed with like Daksha Tika, and then we were given like a tour of the school, and they broke the ice by playing a game of bingo with us in Hindi. So there were different prompts given, and we had to find someone in the room who we didn't know who would answer one of the prompts. After that, we learned various different things. We learned how to properly conduct a radio jockey show. We learned how to properly debate. We also learned aspects of dance and music, which helped us in our radio jockey show. We also went and visited a bus on wheels. So the bus basically had lots of books for young kids, books for us, and we also got to see what it was like having a library inside a bus. Some of us even got some of the books back with us. Apart from that, we also went around with the school children to like the Gandhi Smriti Museum. We went to the Lal Kila, which is the Red Fort, and we had a lot of fun just interacting with them. And their level of Hindi is obviously very different from us, but we were able to find like a mutual understanding where we could converse with each other, and we learned a lot of new words and phrases that will help us.
So I'm going to be talking about the Rishikesh part of the trip. So in Rishikesh, we mainly interacted with another school. So this one thing that was really special about the school was that most students from that school were either orphans or they come from a very low economic background. But I think even though we had our differences, something that really brought us together was I think the necessity and the want to get to know each other better. So I think that was really nice. And we were welcomed really warmly by them. And one thing that really stuck with me was how they welcomed us. They had this really cute welcome song for us, and that was very catchy. And in Rishikesh, we also got to meet with an ex-army organization. So what this organization does is they basically help ex-army people to solve whatever problems they have right now in their life after being retired. So and we also, as Daksh mentioned, we had a lot of cultural immersion as well. And we visited the Ganga Aarti, which is also a first time for me. It was very fun. So yeah.
Another thing I want to point out is in Delhi, we also saw a play, which was mainly like Hindi dominated. And so, of course, we learned like new words, but we also got to know about the historical culture. We got to know about characters like Yamraj and Chitragupt.
We also visited different like meles, which is like fairs, and we visited a local bazaar where some of us bought clothes or like jewelry, and we just got to see what their local traditional like lifestyle is and how they function there.
And I think this whole trip really helped us bond as a group and like really immerse ourselves with the culture and the language and actually gain a lot more knowledge that we can still implement both in our classes and in our life.
Can you guys all say namaste, please? And Daksh, can you say a few words in Hindi to them, please?
Namaste. आप लोग का दिन कैसा जा रहा है?
What did he say?
Welcome. How was your day going?
What would you like to say in return?
Nice. बहुत अच्छा.
Thank you very much. Okay, thanks for sharing. They had a wonderful trip. Okay, thank you so much, Daksh and Vaishnavi and Arna. Okay, next I think we're going to hear from the people on the Tamil trip. Okay, can you guys say Vanakkam?
Hello, sir.
Hi, Vanakkam.
Um,
How are you?
I'm good.
Tell us.
So yeah, first day, we went to Madurai. I hope you all know that place, I think. So in Madurai, we spent like half a day there where we went to a Jain temple. Not a temple, but sort of a cave, which revealed how how schools run back then. And it had some inscriptions, and it was supposed to be a place where they teach students apparently. And so we had a historical context briefed about it when we visited the place. And after that, we went to a local store near in the outskirts of Tirunelveli where they sell, craft items which are made by local Tamil tribes. So they're made out of, for example, baskets, and then jewelry, and then pottery. Like they're very crafted skilled in that. And then the first day after evening, around that time, we went to Tirunelveli, where we stayed in a place called Alvar Tirunagari, which is opposite to a big, I think, Perumal temple, where we spent the rest of the 3 days there. So the following days, we visited a beach, which is near Karaikudi, and we collected different types of shells, which because you don't find them often in Marina Beach. And so we saw the different types, and then we learnt about them, and saw how some are special to that area, and which we are not supposed to take back by the government regulations. And then we went to a fort called Pilemar Kote, which is nearby our place. And the door of the fort exists right now because everything else crumbled. And that place used to hold. It was actually built during the Britishers' time, and it was used to protect the women from the others apparently. And they don't let women outside that fort. So again, it was fascinating to learn about the historic context. Then we learned about an archaeological site where we went to nearby, and that place there were burial urns which we saw, and how they used to bury people. And then we got some background on the values and norms which we follow today. For example, we're not supposed to sleep north facing. We learned the historical reason behind them and as to why we are following them today. Because I used to believe that they were kind of blindly followed, but they actually came to know about the reason as to why we follow them, like many reasons like that. And then after that,
Yeah, and we also went to a desert, which is a red sand desert, but now it's not so much more of a desert because to prevent soil erosion, they planted a lot of trees and plants that are native to the soil. So it sort of ruined the ecological system over there. So they were talking about how it's always necessary to know about the ecological system, what type of plants work well there before planting trees just to prevent soil erosion. Along with all those places, we also went to the temple and we learned about how the temples are constructed, how it takes almost a year and a half just to start constructing it because you have to get permission from the plants, the trees, the land before constructing the temple. And we learned a lot about Namarvar, some of his sayings. We had a discussion about his life history as well. We also learned a little bit of Silambam in the morning on the day that
Yeah.
we left. And all of us tried it out, and it was a different experience because we haven't done it a lot. We also learned how to tie flower garlands, which is something that none of us had learned ever before, so it was a new experience. We also did basket weaving, but not with actual baskets. We made small things like glasses and a bracelet. The trip was like informative, and we learned a lot about like Tamil culture and our culture, stuff that we don't know, like Vishwesh said about the reasons we follow stuff. We also spoke a lot in Tamil because around us everyone only spoke Tamil and there wasn't a lot of places to speak English. And we bonded as like groups and we had a lot of fun. They played football, we played board games, all of that. And it was a good experience.
I heard they also threw you in jail. Did that happen too?
So we visited a nearby local police station just to see how everything runs. They invited us to come inside and look how everything runs inside the police station. And then I also touched the jail.
You touched the jail.
Yeah.
You didn't actually go inside?
They didn't let us go in. So and then they also show the list of cases on what accounts do they arrest people and on what accounts do they take them into custody. And then all those different cases. So they believe that educating children about how to be safe on the streets is very important, and they took a short lesson for us.
We also visited a local school and met the kids
Yeah.
there, and those kids talk only in Tamil. So it was fun interacting with them, learning about the differences. We talked about goals and all that.
And can you say a few words in Tamil for our DDs? Perhaps, Kitaj, I cut you off before. Why don't I let you speak? Maybe you can say something and they can tell you what you said.
வணக்கம் உங்களோட பேர் என்னது
Would you like to respond in any way?
என் பேர் விஸ்வேஷ்.
And per Anina.
Okay, thank you very much, Anina and Viswesh. And we really enjoyed hearing about your trip, okay? Last but not least, can you guys all say, now listen, I want you to say both, 2 words now, because I'm going to add his name too, okay? Hola Pranat. Buenos dias. And where do you think Pranat has been? They're all saying you've been to Spain. Is that true? Can you please tell us a little bit about your trip to España?
So, me and a couple of others from 11th and 12th grade went to Spain. So, do I just explain?
Yeah. You can just say, did you enjoy the trip and what did you learn and what were some of the highlights of the trip, okay?
So, yes, I did enjoy the trip. Basically, the first few days we landed in Madrid. We saw Madrid for a couple of hours till we went off to Salamanca, which was the place we were staying for the time we were there. First couple of days, we were just relaxing. We could go around. We went around with I wouldn't say tour guides, but the people who taught like Spanish at the institution we were learning at, which is called the Atula. So first few days we were just relaxing. We could go out shopping or just eat food or just sleep or something. I don't really know. But after the first few days, we were just practicing Spanish, and we had a lot of free time after that, depending on what the schedule was.
And what were some of the cultural activities that you did? What's some of the Spanish culture that you learned?
So we were making paella, which is a native Spanish food. I would say it's similar to biryani, which people from India eat, You could probably imagine that.
Do they make it with rice?
Yes.
How do you say rice in Spanish?
Yeah.
Arroz. Very good. Okay. And did you learn a lot of Spanish words and new Spanish vocabulary? Did you get an opportunity to speak with Spanish people?
I did get an opportunity with the host families we were staying in, although I didn't really speak with them much since they were speaking too fast for me to understand. I forgot to mention that everyone was staying with different host families, and we were assigned in pairs, and we were staying pretty close to each other, but it was 2 people in each house, so.
And who were you staying with? Both who was the KC student, and tell us a little bit about the family that you were staying with.
So I was staying with someone in 12th grade called Madhav Menon. There was another girl who was around, I think she was like exactly my age, and another girl who was a bit older. And there was a lady and another man who were married, and they just took care of us and gave us food and everything before we went on with our day.
Okay, thank you very much for sharing. Pranat, can you say a few words in Spanish for us, please?
I can say hola, ¿qué tal?
Hola, ¿qué tal? Who wants to answer that? Anybody? Tell me.
Estoy muy bien.
Well said. Okay, we've got some wonderful Spanish learners. I hope you guys are all looking forward to your field trips in the future. We get field trips started this year with the Dynamic Dolphins. Did you guys have a pajama party or not yet? Sleepover? It was called a sleepover now? Okay. And then every year we get a little bit further away, a little bit longer, and we end up with a nice long trip to Madurai or Rishikesh or Madrid or Paris or someplace like that, and maybe even someday Africa, okay? So thank you so much for being such a good audience. I hope you learned a lot today. Thank you very much. Gracias, Pranat, okay? Thank you for sharing. Adios. You guys have been a wonderful audience, very well behaved, very much participating and interested and engaged. It's so nice to see all of you learning and being respectful, respecting each other and respecting the speakers. And please remember, someday you'll be up here explaining about your trips to the younger children when you're older. Your trips to Madurai, to Rishikesh, to Paris, to Madrid, to Africa, and maybe even the moon, because now India is sending people to the moon, or almost, not quite. We're sending, what are we sending? Not quite astronauts, but they're thinking about it, right? They're going to need an astronaut. They're going to need someone from about your age to go to the moon, okay? So have a great day and a great week ahead. Thanks again for being such a wonderful audience. All right, bye-bye.